Hello. As you all remember, well, actually, as probably none of you remember, I made a sort of crappy Western system play Wild West games in, and it basically stole a bunch from Difore. And so pretty recently, I just asked Gio if he'd be okay if I made a Western setting for Difore, and he was cool with it, and so here we are. And this is just like a quick notes video to get you all orientated. Now this is, well, what you should probably expect. It's just Difore with some different flavor. A lot of the mechanics are the same. Well, actually all of the mechanics are the same. I just, changed a few things. For instance, I took out all of the magic. Want to know what I did with the magic? I changed it into crimes. Crimes is basically, interpreting evidence, analyzing crime scenes, and, stuff like that. Because in the Old West, crimes happened, and they needed to be solved. And the normal, people don't really know that much. And so there are people who specialize in that, obviously. So yeah, you got a class that's more or less blah blah blah. We'll talk about the classes later. Another thing you're going to notice is that this used to say race. Since this game is based in the real world, I decided to throw races out and just replace them with origins. And this is basically where your character comes from. And here we have some new origins. There are ramblers, who are basically, from parts unknown. They're from nowhere. And, it's going to be your basic gunslinger. And they're really big on dueling. It's basically, man with no name, or, yeah. It's basically just your gunslinger there. Then we have immigrants, who are basically like, Chinese workers came over here to work on the railroad and now they're here. Or Irish people who are starving because there's no potatoes and now they're here. They're basically just, people from other countries who came to America and now they're in the Wild West. And they do cool stuff. And that's going to be your wayfarers, your thieves, because these people are in poor financial state. And they're going to be hustlers. Just kind of like a thief. More on that later. Oh, by the way, I reflavored, race abilities. Like, the Rambler is a light sleeper, can wake up anytime, day or night, without feeling tired. The immigrants get a little extra food. Here are the settlers. Settlers are, they come from the east and the Midwest. They're just trying to settle this new land. And as a result, they're lawbringers. They bring law and order. Lawbringer is another class you're going to see there. And their little trait is, well, I just straight up stole survivability, which is +2 against weather-based condition and based endurance roll. So yeah, there's that. And here's Native Americans, who are, I forget what they do. Oh right, survivalists. Survivalist is another class. Native Americans, you know those. And here's another thing I stole. Their race ability, or origin ability as it is just the thing that Newells or something got. They gain additional 10% flesh during 8-hour rest, blah blah blah. I'll put this document up on the Dropbox when I'm finished here, so that you can read it for yourself. And here are just a bunch of common race names. Most of them are stolen from movies and stuff. Some of them are just made up off the top of my head. For Native Americans, I have to Google common Native American names. But yeah. Obviously money had to be overhauled because, can't keep using Sarde or Sarda, Sard. Not gonna happen. However, I did leave them in. They're just kind of, you know, there. They're neat. They're like really rare and treasure and stuff. Anyways, starting cash is $5 times level times 1d10, and can be re-rolled once. Second roll must be taken, just like the good old Sard. I did. This used to say Arch Souls. Now it says Legend because there are no ghosts in the Wild West. Don't be silly. And I don't actually know what Geo's plan was for this, but I think that when you get like high enough level human, you just turn into an Arch Soul, or Legend as it is now. We'll figure it out as we go, eh? And of course, mechanics left the same. Here are new abilities, and I will talk about these briefly now. For the Gunslinger paths, if you take just every one of the first options in a row, it's supposed to be kind of a, like, here are just buzzwords that I wrote for these. Die hard. Supposed to be kinda hard to kill, I guess. Harder to kill. And if you take every one of the second paths, you're supposed to be like a big threat. I kind of tried to help big threats with dual wielding. I don't know how I did, but anyways. Yeah, you're basically just a hard hitter. Maybe like a DPS, I forget. It's been like, I don't know, 10 hours since I wrote this part. Anyways, if you take all of the third path, you're supposed to be like some kind of dead shot. You're supposed to be pretty accurate. And if you take all of the last path, you're supposed to be some kind of duelist, and I tried to optimize it for 1v1 combat. Let's move on to the Hustler. If you take everything in the first path, you're just sort of supposed to be some kind of silver tongue who can talk his way around stuff. And if you take all the second path, you're kind of supposed to be like a thief. Kind of. I did try and add in like some stuff for security, bypassing and stealth, so I guess there's that. And there's, if you take all in the third path, you get Trickster, which was more combat oriented, and I think that was pretty good. And if you take all of the fourth path, you're just kind of supposed to, you know, move fast. Like literally everything in the fourth path is move fast. You can just run everywhere. Alright, let's move on to the Survivalist. For Survivalist, if you take everything in the first path, you're sort of like a craftsman, you make stuff. If you take everything in the second path, it's kind of like a religious character. Like, that's the one where you get the prayer ability, except I moved that up to like level 4 just because, like, I want it to be a little more powerful, I think. We'll see how that goes. If you take everything in the third path, you're hopefully supposed to be some kind of ambusher who can sneak around very well and can hide again after attacking. It's pretty good. And if you took everything in the fourth path, you're supposed to be like a pretty smart guy, pretty wise guy who knows lots of things, just a whole lot of things. And also another thing that I had to change was the religion. So it was, you know, Old Westy. So I took out a bunch of the gods that were based on the original Difore lore, and I just replaced them with, Christian God, who, like, he does relatively small stuff pretty dependably. Like, if you prayed for rain today, it would rain in about an hour or something, no matter what. So that's what he's good for. And there's spirits. Spirits are for buffing your, like, base stats temporarily, that intelligence, strength, endurance, wit. And then there's your ancestors. You can pray to those, and they'll help you out on a skill roll or something. And then I just left Arden in there. Arden speaks a strange language that no one on Earth understands. That's because he's one of the original, Difore gods, and that's a different language than, English. And it's just unclear what pleases him, because, well, honestly, we don't know. And besides, not knowing makes him spookier. And if you're blessed by him, you start to go nuts at level 4. Even if you don't take the prayer ability. But he will temporarily buff your phys damage, hit, and dodge if you pray about him. But enough about the survivalist. Here's the Lawbringer. The first path of the Lawbringer is kind of a martial. He's very good at, it's very good at traveling and, getting around in the Wild West. On mounts, especially. Second path was kind of like a vigilante, hopefully supposed to be good at engaging more than one enemy. The third path is kind of an inspector, and that's that crime stuff that I was talking about before. One of the draws of the inspector is that at level 2 you can take an ability that lets you perform legally binding marriages, but also, anyways, the inspector is just kind of like social, like, and does detective stuff. And that's all the classes there is. Oh, wait, did I forget one? Oh, right, I forgot the fourth path of the Lawbringer. That's sort of supposed to be like a bodyguard. He's, he protects the party. Yep. Bodyguard. Well, that's all I've had time to change. This has been, like 14 minutes of your life wasted. Yeah. So basically, that's the state of Difore now. I've got a bunch of cool Western things going on, and I haven't edited the items yet, so the only pistol available is a flintlock, and there's still like goofy knight armor in there. So I'll see about the items later. But yeah, there will be some armor, but not this. You can't do this. You can do some of this, but you can't do all of this. Anyways, that's the notes. Yeah.